Hey guys, Dan here with special guest Justin.
Hey everyone.
This is the 2019 official wrap-up. We did the Oscar thing, then the Oscars happened, and now we are wrapping up the year that was. Yeah.
Yep.
Usually we do it actually a couple weeks later, but we kind of set the Oscars as our deadline, end of year.
Yep.
And this year the Oscars was so darn early that only gave us 3 weeks. So 5 really, but
Yeah.
usually we have 2 full months. So it was a mad dash to try and cover everything.
Oh yes.
Now last year we did this with Joe, and we did the top 50, but we decided to go all out this year. Joe kind of did a video already on his own channel about his favorites and least favorites of 2019, and he simply just doesn't see as many movies as we do. So, so we thought, well, if it's just going to be you and me, let's up the ante. 100 movies.
Yep.
So we're going through these aren't our personal top 100s, but this is the top 100 grossing movies of the year. You've seen 85 of them, which is very good.
Yep.
I've seen all 100, and we're just going to go through and kind of talk about them a little bit. If it's one you haven't seen, I'll probably just say a few words, give a grade, and move on.
Yeah.
But we have grades for the entire top 100, and then we'll also throw in some best and worst of the year that didn't make the highest grossing.
Right.
So we'll do that kind of maybe at the halfway mark, I thought.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Once we hit 51, we'll be like, all right, well, we've done half of the list, so you've heard a lot already, but here's the good and the bad that you didn't hear about. So let's start with number 100, and I guess tell me up front if you haven't seen it, and I'll just breeze right through it.
Sure thing.
Because I said this off air, I'm curious to see which 15 you chose not to watch, because you mentioned some titles to me that very much did not seem like Justin titles at all. So I'm curious to see which ones got on the chopping block there. So we start with the Peanut Butter Falcon,
of course.
and for me this is a great one to start with. One of the best of the year. I didn't necessarily make a definitive ranking of the year yet, but this was an A for me. I thought it was something original. I thought Shia LaBeouf was great. I thought the kid was great.
Yeah.
Even Dakota Johnson, who I know you aren't usually a fan of.
No,
I like
she was
her
actually tolerable in this.
A good amount as it is, but I thought she was great in this. And it's very sweet.
Yeah.
It's, I don't know, a lot of good things about it. What was your grade on that one?
So I can't quite echo the fact that I liked it as much as you did, but this was definitely one of those pleasant surprises. It came out, I wasn't really thinking about seeing it, and then one of my coworkers just gives me this glowing review, and I'm like, I'm curious now. What's weird is it does a lot of things I don't like and makes them work. It tries to be a buddy comedy, but the chemistry is there. It does... Film Fanatics kind of destroyed my love of road trip movies, but...
Sorry.
Yeah. Oh, it's not Film Fanatics' fault. It's more just every third movie we were reviewing. Look who's on the road again. But it actually works in this case without feeling too much like a bunch of bad little vignettes. My only real gripe with it comes with the last 15, 20 minutes of the movie where what started as kind of this nice... goofy but also believable story kind of starts venturing into very quirky because indie territory.
Okay.
Where they just kind of go a little too sweet for what the movie was aiming for. And it's not bad, but it kind of ruins that realism that it was establishing early on.
Okay.
For me, it's a B- though.
B-? Oh, wow, you did not like it as much as me. All right, so up next is number 99, Shaft. Was this one you saw?
Yes.
Wow, okay. This is an easy grade for me. It is one of the year's worst. It's a D. Aside from the rampant homophobia in the film,
Yes.
it's just not good. It wasn't shot well. It was very generic. The Isaac Hayes bit was fine, but that wasn't until the last 25 minutes. So that's a D for me.
Honestly, you're not going to hear too much argument from me. I kind of approach this one with the question of, is there a place for Shaft in the 21st century? And the answer, if this is of any indication, not really. I feel like the storyline didn't work. It was mean. It was homophobic. It just was unpleasant to watch, even though they got original Shaft Richard Roundtree at the end.
Well, what else is he doing? Of course he was going to do it,
Yeah.
But I like how they almost like at the end left it open for a sequel. And it's like nobody wanted the first one. So, what was your grade on that?
D.
D as well. Okay. Number 98, Hellboy. You and I talked a little bit about this off the air a couple of weeks ago, I guess. I did not hate this as much as some, but I also have zero history with Hellboy. I didn't see the original movies. I didn't read the books. So, to me, this wasn't as offensive as I think it was to a lot of people who hold near and dear to their hearts the Perlman rendition.
Yeah.
The guy that plays Hellboy is the guy from Stranger Things,
Yep.
whose name is escaping me at
David
the moment.
Harbour, yeah.
Harbour. I actually thought it was definitely corny. It didn't always work for sure, but I actually thought some of the tongue-in-cheek humor worked. I thought he did a good job. Who's the girl in it?
That one, I'm not sure.
Okay, she stunk. But he was good.
Yeah.
I gave it a C-. I thought it was bad, but it wasn't like horrible.
Okay.
What did you think? I know a lot of people really slammed this movie.
Yeah, a lot of people did. What's interesting is my brother is a diehard Hellboy fan.
Okay.
And he really, really liked this movie. He told me I wouldn't.
Interesting.
But the thing that bothers me about it, going off of seeing the Del Toro movies and also reading what I have in the comics, is even though there's definitely like this quirky angle to it and it's very, very violent, it's never mean.
Yeah.
Hellboy 2019 is very, very mean.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I see.
And I feel like it's partially because there are two different we're looking at two different Hellboys. Perlman's was basically a cranky old man with a heart of gold. Harbour's is an angry teenager. I don't think Harbour does so much a bad job. It's just the script is all over the place. The tone is
I agree with that.
Bizarre. The CGI is okay in spots, really bad in others. It just felt really clunky and not really enjoyable, especially when you got a 2-hour runtime. It was a D for me as well.
D, okay. Number 97 was Black and Blue. And by the way, these are all the Peanut Butter Falcon made $20 million, so all of these made more than $20 million at the U.S. box office.
Wow.
Black and Blue, I thought was good. I liked some of the things they were doing with the whole, classic, cop gone rogue and the newbie. I mean, it was a retread of the story that has been told a million times. But I like the way they did it. I kind of liked some of the angles they took. I love that lead actress. She did a great job in it.
Cool.
So I gave it a B. I thought it was good.
Did not see this one.
Not for you. Okay. 47 Meters Down, Uncaged.
You're on your own again.
Yeah, I figured. This is an easy one. It's an F. I think there's only 3 Fs I have in the whole top 100, and this is one of them.
Okay.
I mean, I didn't even like the first one that much. The first one I think I gave a C. This one it was even worse. None of the people came back from the original. Mandy Moore's not in this.
Yeah.
Even
the first one I didn't like that much.
That's what I mean. Like, the first one only got a C from me. So to make a second one with all different characters that I cared about even less, and even less going on, so that was an F. Number 95 was Richard Jewell. That was, of course, Oscar nominated for Kathy Bates.
Yep.
Another Eastwood jam. I thought it was fine. I thought it was very standard biopic. I thought it was standard Eastwood. I thought it was standard Kathy Bates. Sam Rockwell, I thought, was great in it.
Agreed.
For once playing a non-racist. It's his first one in about 3 years, where he was, he was the good guy.
Yes.
Fighting for Richard Jewell. I thought the guy that played Richard Jewell did a good job. We've seen him in a couple of other things. I, Tonya, for example.
Yeah.
So I ended that one with a B.
It's really time for Clint Eastwood to stop, though.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think he's actually come around a bit, because I really didn't like that period with, like, the one with Mandela.
Oh,
and then
Invictus.
the one with Invictus, and then the
Hereafter.
one with the big hurricane. Yeah.
Yep.
Those were both, like, really bad.
I missed both of those, actually.
And then, I don't know, I thought Sniper was good. I thought Sully was about in this range, like a B, B minus.
Yeah, that's fair.
But yeah.
This is a frustrating movie to talk about, because there's really good things about it, but the things that are really, really bad completely overshadow the stuff that's great.
Okay.
Like, the storyline is good. The acting, very good. The controversy that was surrounding this movie, completely and utterly warranted, to the point that I kind of find myself wondering if Eastwood doesn't see the kind of, like, hypocrisy of what he created. A story about man being demonized and yet also being just as manipulative as the people that he's criticizing. For me, it's got some great things going for it, but it is way too long and
It was a bit long.
very, very much in your face. This is how Clint Eastwood sees the world. It's a C+ for me.
Okay. Stuber was next, number 94. I did not think this was very funny. I like Kumail Nanjiani a lot.
Same.
He got some of the laughs from me in this movie. I would say most of them. Dave Bautista, outside of the Guardians movies, I don't think is a good actor. I didn't think he was funny in this at all. Again, with the buddy cop thing, you mentioned that. Well, they're not cops, but buddy picture.
Yeah.
I thought they had an okay chemistry, but I think he's a bad actor, Dave Bautista. And I got few laughs from this. I gave it a C-.
Weirdly enough, you're not going to hear too many criticisms from me. I thought this was really all over the place. It felt kind of like watching an unfinished script. There's some moments where there's kind of funny bits, like the scene, like a couple action sequences have really good comedic potential, but don't really go anywhere. Mm-hmm. I feel like Bautista, I think he's a good character actor. I don't think he's a good leading man. And I think
he's great in Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, and I liked what we saw of him in Blade Runner 2049, but this is kind of a misfire from him, and I feel like it's largely because they go way too hard at his gotta be tough guy cop.
Yes.
And it just doesn't gel.
Work.
Yeah. It's not awful, and thank goodness it's short, but it's mediocre at best. It's C- as well.
Okay. Number 93 is Booksmart. This was a really nice indie comedy that I'm glad made the top 100.
Same.
Had a lot of buzz on it, I guess over the summer.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yep.
I feel like they released it right around the end of school, which makes sense, plot-wise. I thought it was very funny. Beanie Feldstein, had a really nice star turn here. Good
Absolutely.
career moment for her. And Caitlin Dever we've seen in so many things and always enjoy.
Yeah.
So they had great chemistry together. The guys in the movie were all sort of purposeful caricatures of, the frat guy, the party guy, the loser who wants to be cool,
Yeah.
But yet somehow it worked because they were just real enough that they sort of, walked that line between unrealistic, caricature and, oh yeah, no, I know that person.
Yeah, I definitely went to school with that kid.
Yeah, so I thought they really captured that essence right. I thought they captured high school good. So I leave Booksmart with an A-.
Once again, you're probably not going to hear too much indifference. No, this was the first really good movie I think I saw in 2019.
Okay.
I loved the simple storytelling. I really liked the general setup, sort of what have I done with my life in high school? I think that's just a brilliant way to look at academia in the 21st century. And people call it female Superbad, but honestly, I think it's better than Superbad.
Well, I like Superbad a lot.
I
certainly
do too.
for its time. I don't think it's aged very well.
No, especially with the plot.
But yeah, I mean, I think just because they're almost out of high school, they're trying to be party people.
Yeah.
And they really aren't. I mean, that's, on a basic plot level, it is the female Superbad.
Yeah.
You can't deny that. It's factual.
Oh, no.
But yes, it certainly goes deeper than that movie ever did.
And I think we get to know the main characters a lot more.
I'd agree with that, yeah.
Than we did in Superbad. And honestly, we get to see both have really interesting and unique arcs. But what I like about this is the writing is tight and
solid. Yeah.
It has this good beginning, middle, and end, and I just felt satisfied with the whole thing.
And Wilde did a good job directing it.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's an easy A- for me.
All right, good. Number 92, A Dog's Journey. You had to skip this one, right? This is a Justin skip. Okay.
Yep, absolutely.
I'm trying to guess as we
You're
go
safe.
here. Dog's Journey. This was We had 2 dog movies in the top 100. Which one was this? There was Dog's Way Home.
Yep.
No, this is Dog's Journey. This
Yes.
is the sequel to the one from a couple years ago, The Dog's Purpose.
Okay, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I better look that up to make sure I'm talking about the right movie.
Yeah.
But I gave them the same grade, which is odd. So, it's not
Yeah.
as...
One was a spin-off, I guess?
Yes, well, it was the continuation of
Oh.
the one where Josh Gad voices the dog, and he keeps dying over and over again, and then
Right.
Dennis Quaid is the
Yeah,
is the one,
Yeah.
But then the other one, which we may as well get to them both at the same time since I gave them the same darn grade because
Yeah.
you didn't see that one either. I
Nope,
know it.
you're
I
safe
know
there,
it.
too.
Number 65 was A Dog's Way Home, and they made the one poster to look like it was the other movie.
Not confusing
I
at all.
swear, I
Hollywood.
hate dog movies anymore. Oh yeah, this is the one with Dennis Quaid. Okay, C plus. They're both C pluses. So what was the other one then? The Dog's Way Home. Spoiler alert. I think the dog dies both times. Dog's Journey, he dies a bunch because that's the whole purpose of the movie. You did see the first one, right? Because we're still doing
did see
Film Fanatics. At
Yeah,
that point?
yes. I did see A Dog's Purpose, for better or for worse.
Yeah, and so Dog's Journey is the reboot of that. Oh yeah, Dog's Way Home is Ashley Judd. Oof, that was not that great either. A female dog travels 400 miles in search of her owner through a Colorado wilderness. So they're both sort of looking for their owner in a way.
Yeah.
But let's just not spend any more time on those. They're both C pluses. Okay, Fighting with My Family, number 91. This was a pleasant surprise for me.
Same.
I didn't quite know what to expect going into this. It was getting good reviews, but I don't know. The poster didn't really speak to me.
It's a wrestling movie.
It's a
yeah.
wrestling movie, and I'm not really much of a fan. But the Rock is in it, and he plays himself, and he produced it, and then Simon Pegg, and so
Yep.
I'm like, okay, well, I
Let's see
like
where this goes,
I like
yeah.
the people in this.
Yeah.
And for somebody who is honestly kind of sick of the Rock's action shtick.
Yeah.
I thought this was a very pleasant change
Mm-hmm.
and a reminder that he actually is more than just a skyscraper man,
Yes.
and that he can do more, thoughtful pictures or whatever. So I enjoyed this. I gave it a B plus.
Oh, nice. Yeah, honestly, same for me. I heard good reviews about it. I hesitated to see it in theaters, and then I just rented it one day on a whim, and was just really surprised at how much I was enjoying myself watching it.
Yeah.
You get surprisingly good performances out of a lot of people that I've...
Yeah, the girl that stars in it is great.
Yeah, no, the girl who plays Paige is
Yeah.
wonderful, and Vince Vaughn's honestly pretty good in this, too.
Oh yeah, I forgot. It's a Vaughn special.
Yes.
That's right.
But I like the story. I think it's simple, but it works. We don't spend anywhere too terribly long, and it's a sports story that never really feels like a cliche, which is not something
rare.
That's actually really rare in this day and age.
Yeah, I
but
agree.
I thought it was a lot of fun. I got some good laughs. I definitely was very satisfied with the experience. It's a solid B plus for me as well.
Okay. This one I think we might disagree on because I think I know some of your thoughts on this. That is number 90, Judy. And that is, of course, Renee Zellweger. She just won the Oscar for Best Actress. And these, by the way, these numbers are from as of the 14th of February.
Yeah.
Because some of these, like Parasite, is probably way higher than it is on this list
That would
at
do
this
it.
point.
Yeah.
Maybe some of these other ones, Two Knives Out, maybe. But if Judy's still in theaters, it may be above number 90 by now. But anyway, I thought Zellweger knocked it out of the park.
Oh, absolutely.
It was almost a shoe-in for the Oscar.
Mm-hmm.
She is great as Judy Garland. However, I also think it was a good movie. Some people say it's a great performance in an okay movie. I thought it was a very good movie as well. I think it really showed the horrible nature that people who are in the know about Garland's history, know about, the whole studio cycle and how they starved her and they popped her with pills and this, that, and the other thing. It was a bit Hollywoodized in this movie and possibly a little messy in the storytelling, specifically when she marries Mickey and you think it's Mickey Rooney, but it's not, it turns out. That part was a real bummer. But for the most part, I thought this was a great performance in a very good movie, not a great performance in an okay movie. I gave Judy an A minus.
Okay, well, yes, we are going to disagree.
I figured.
It is it is a positive review. We'll start there.
Okay.
Zellweger is by far the best thing
Knocks
about
it
this
out
movie.
for sure, yeah.
100% great performance.
Yep.
100% worthy of the Oscar that she
Yep.
got. The movie as a whole is kind of all over the place, and I think it's less so that anything that it's introducing is bad so much as it's trying to do too much. It's trying to answer the question of who really killed Judy Garland, and at the same time trying to focus on her role as an icon and also her troubled home life. And they're all interesting, but they could all be separate good movies on their own. And because of that, it kind of flip-flops. Some parts are really interesting, some parts are really slow.
Did you not care for the flashing back?
I thought the flashbacks were very on the nose, and we don't do enough with it.
They were a bit on the nose, but I don't know. I thought the girl playing her did a good job.
Oh, yeah,
And I thought that I thought it was better seeing it from the lens than from Judy's, like, memories or something.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah. For me, it just felt... they weren't bad bits. They just felt weirdly placed in the movie itself.
Okay.
Especially with so much being at the end that when we get to the first one, it's like, why are we back here? It's interesting, but it feels like an entirely different movie to me. As a whole, I think it's a okay movie. It's definitely worth a watch if you're a Judy Garland fan at all. Mm-hmm. But I don't think it's like this mind-blowingly amazing movie. It's a B for me.
Okay. So Countdown was next. This is the first of many, many horror movies we had this year. I guess unless you count... Well, 47 Meters Down, that was a horror movie. I was going to say if you count Hellboy, maybe. I wouldn't. But I thought Countdown was very basic. The plot... The main plot conceit was interesting. The app where you find out exactly when you're going to die, and you can't delete it, you can't do anything about it. If you destroy the phone, you still die. It's an interesting concept that the film constantly doesn't do anything new with. Total jump scares. So that was a C- for me. It doesn't sound like you watched it.
I did not.
Okay. Another dog movie, The Art of Racing in the Rain. Did you see that?
Nope.
Believe it or not, worse than the other two dog movies.
Really?
Yeah, only because it stinks in every aspect. Like, the writing is horrible.
Please go on.
What's his face from This Is Us?
Yeah, Milo Ventimiglia.
Milo Ventimiglia is fine, but also he's playing the same exact character in from This Is Us. If he didn't have any kids, but he had a dog. He didn't change any of his performance for it. There's a really bad, like, family drama scene because his wife dies, like, early on in the movie, and the family never liked him because he's a race car driver, and that's bad, and, like, all this stuff. And so then there's, like, a custody battle. Oh, so I guess he does have one kid, but mostly he has the dog.
Yeah.
And then the dog is voiced by Kevin Costner, which is horrible. You know I don't like when dogs are voiced by people. So that was bad, C-. Yeah. However,
okay.
If you think I don't like dog movies, I hate movies called Cats. Because that's our next movie. What a segue. Number 87 is Cats. If you really want to hear my opinions, there's a 19-minute long video about them. It's an F. Justin. I mean, there's no need to waste time talking more about it.
You're 100% right on the money in that, and that was a glorious video. Quite possibly the best 19-minute monologue I've ever seen. But no, this movie's bad, like horribly bad. Mm-hmm. Not for the reasons that you had per se, but like
no, but they're up there.
Why would you go so far in on this polarizing musical and make it like it was exactly as it was on stage and have no idea of what's working and not working? The CGI is bad.
CGI's horrible.
The songs are forgettable. Memory's fine.
Memory's always good, yeah.
Memory's always good, but let's be realistic. It's the only song anybody remembers from Cats.
Yeah.
It's pretty much just straight up nightmare fuel, and even then you're just counting down for the movie to be over. It's an easy F. It's not even a question. It's the worst thing of 2019.
Good one. All right, so number 86, I had the misfortune of seeing as one of the last movies I saw this year, and I say it's unfortunate because I think it's a movie that really needs some time with it. and that's Midsummer. I saw this just last week, and I thought it was okay. The acting was decent. There were some scenes I liked, some not effects, but some plot devices I liked.
Yeah.
But for most of it, I just thought, especially like the last 40 minutes, like the last portion of the movie, if you will.
Yeah.
It just goes so far off the rails in the same direction that Hereditary did.
Yeah.
But Hereditary did it in like 2 minutes. There's
Yes.
no reason for this movie to be 2 hours and 27 minutes. I was bored with it. Parts of it I liked. Parts of it I really don't know how I feel about because it's still pretty fresh. So for now, I leave Midsummer with a C. That could change over time, but I was left unsatisfied by this film.
Yeah, I was thinking about this a lot with sort of viewing it as its own and also viewing it as the director's prior film, Hereditary.
It's hard not to compare the two.
Oh, yeah.
It really is.
No. I would say this one...
They're in a similar vein.
They are very much in a similar vein. Midsummer is kind of more horror/dark comedy in a weird way.
It's more comedic than Hereditary, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
By leaps and bounds.
Yeah.
But Hereditary is... I think one of my friends summed it up best. It's it's like 90% character study, 10% horror movie.
Okay.
And that's not necessarily a deal breaker. It's a
I
great
like that
performance.
sometimes, yeah.
Midsummer is original in good ways and bad.
Mm-hmm.
I think it is a gorgeously shot movie, and there's some scenes that I wouldn't necessarily call terrifying, but they are haunting.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely some shots that I will not soon forget.
Yeah, in more ways than one.
Yeah.
But it definitely, I do agree, it does escalate a little bit too much. I think sort of the build, it tries to be a slow burn, and unlike Hereditary, where we're so absorbed in the character study aspect of it that you don't really mind it as much.
Right.
This one, I think it tries to be a little too funny, and then it kind of...
Yeah,
It
it's
doesn't
an
always
odd
gel.
mix.
It's... I wouldn't say it's bad per se, it just feels different. But it's definitely a step down from Hereditary. Not quite as dramatic as with you, but for me, it's a B versus a B+.
Okay. Yeah, definitely big difference for me. Number 85 is Happy Death Day to You. Lots of horror movies this year again. We'll go over a lot of them. This was, I thought, very enjoyable. I enjoyed the first one. I enjoy this one. I think the lead actress is really good. I think it walks that very interesting line of comedy and horror, and I think actually does both pretty well. And it knows the sort of cheesy factor about itself and plays that angle up even more in this one than it did in the first one. I enjoyed it. I gave it a B+.
So, I had meant to see the first one for a while, and I decided, okay, because the sequel came out, I was going to just hit them back to back. I like the first one because it wasn't perfect. I think a lot of the dialogue is shoddy, but I like the fact that it knows what it wants to be.
I think it's purposely shoddy. Like, I think it knows it is a corny horror movie, and that's the angle it's playing up.
And that's sort of where it gets weird, because in some spots I agree with you. Like, the horror angle is interesting, but they also try to play the main character as sort of like the breaking the mold of that, and I think in doing so kind of brings it back into that. It's hard to explain, but it feels weird. Some of it works, a lot of it doesn't. One thing I thought was interesting is To You kind of does what I don't think enough sequels do, and that's not tell the exact same story twice. Do I think it spends a little too much time in one particular aspect to the point that we don't get back to the main story in enough time? Absolutely.
Some of the side characters and their shenanigans in the lab.
Yeah. Let's say an inciting incident is drawn out way more than it needed to.
Okay.
I think the setup is interesting. I like the shift from the heart of the sci-fi. I still don't think it's quite mastered its tone just yet. There's a lot of things I like. I think the world building is interesting, and if they ever are able to pull off a part 3, I really hope they go R, because I think it would benefit from
That
it.
might work for it, yeah.
But honestly, it's about just as good as the original. I leave it with a C+.
Yeah, I think I gave both of them the same grade. I really enjoyed them.
Yeah.
Next is 21 Bridges. This kind of came out the same time basically as Black and Blue, and they're both sort of like cop stories. This one, they're this guy's a cop killer hunter basically because his dad was killed by a cop when he was a kid. Chadwick Boseman, of course.
Yep.
And I just thought the storytelling here wasn't as original as Black and Blue. I thought the first half, like, I was all in. I thought it was real good, and then the second half, it really just
Not so much.
Well, it just nosedived into very usual action, nothing new. J.K. Simmons is yelling at me like.
Oh, no.
He plays the captain.
Yeah, of course.
As always,
Angry plays
captain.
Yeah.
I won't say the spoiler with him, but anyway, it was okay. I gave it a C+.
Okay.
I'm taking you did not see that.
I did not.
Did you see Ready or Not?
I did.
Ooh, okay. Here's another horror that I really liked. I
Same.
thought this was getting a lot of good reviews, and I was like, well, the girl in the front of the poster certainly looks like Margot Robbie. They're going for some kind of, hey, she looks like Harley Quinn. Let's go see this movie. And then it turned out to be like really good.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun with this.
I had a lot of fun with it. Much like Happy Death Day to You, it was an enjoyable horror movie.
Yes.
It wasn't one of those horror movies where I was like either scared the entire time or bored the entire time because, oh, here comes another jump scare.
Yeah.
Like, this was something I thought very original. I liked the cast. The fake Margot Robbie is very good.
Yeah.
She was a good lead. And it was scary. I
Yes,
mean,
absolutely.
in a real way. Yeah, so
Yeah.
I gave this one a B+ as well.
Yeah, no, this is one of those movies that criminally did not get seen enough, and I'm hoping.
Yeah, I'm glad it made
gets-
top 100. I was actually shocked.
Yeah, same. And I'm really hoping gets like cult following midnight movie status in the years to come because, oh my gosh, does it deserve it? I cannot state this enough, loved Samara Weaving's character. I thought she was funny. I thought she was relatable. I thought she was engaging. It was really the only time this year that a movie was so well paced that I found myself saying, almost like 10 minutes to the end, I wish this was longer because I really like this character.
Yes.
I love the setups, and even though it's a kind of familiar premise, it does so many fun and original things. It's got a lot of personality. Even though the ending kind of gets a little ridiculous, it still feels weird enough to be right, and I really appreciated that. It is probably going to be the first of many viewings. I highly recommend it. B+ as well.
Okay. From that review, I thought it was going to be an A for sure.
When I was watching it, it was teetering on
A
A-.
lot of good things you had to say. All right, up next, another horror. This is like the year, every other week there was a horror movie. So this is the remake of Child's Play. Here again, like Hellboy. Now, I have seen the very first Child's Play, but only about 4 or 5 years ago when we did the Film Fanatics Top 5 Inanimate Horror Movies or whatever it was called.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So I didn't grow up on Child's Play. I have very little attachment to it. But, the Chucky doll is obviously always present, from the late 80s on. You know what it is and what it does and everything. Yeah. I thought this was a lot of fun, too. I had a good time with Luke Skywalker as the voice.
Yes,
Mark,
absolutely. Mark Hamill.
Hamill, thank you. I don't know why that was brain fart, but yeah, I mean, I thought he was a lot of fun. It's fairly generic, but if nothing else, you get Aubrey Plaza as the mom, who I usually enjoy.
Yeah.
And I think she does a good job here of like not believing, the son and classic tropes. But I had a lot of fun with this. I gave it a B.
Yeah, I know a lot of people are giving this one grief because the creator said, okay, I had nothing to do with this, and it's way more sci-fi in the way of its storytelling. To be honest with you, I was never a really big Chucky fan. I like the first one. I think he got more ridiculous as he went along.
Well, yes.
But I think this finds a way to do something new and...
Yeah, I like the technological update.
Yeah,
for it.
like the way I described it to my brother is this is more or less HAL 9000 as Chucky.
Yeah.
And it kind of works, and I think it's largely because Mark Hamill plays him so well.
He has so much fun with it.
Yes, he finds some great stuff to do with it, and I think for the most part it does a really good job of generating suspense. The one part of it that I feel like kind of detracts from it is the attempts to try and throw in satire are kind of hit and miss.
Okay.
It gets a little too over the top in some spots because it's trying to aim so much for social commentary. And it's less that it's bad, it just kind of sticks out like a sore thumb, and I don't think it's nearly as meaningful as they intended it to be.
Okay.
But I like that it's attempt to do something different, and I think it's a respectable Child's Play movie in its own right.
Yeah.
It's a C+ for me.
Okay. Up next, we have Long Shot. Here's another one that was a very pleasant surprise for me. This is number
Definitely.
81 on the list. I haven't seen a Seth Rogen movie this good in a long time. I think he's had a lot of kind of funny movies,
Yes.
but sort of forgettable. There was a whole string, like Neighbors and
Yeah.
I mean, This Is the End. It was really enjoyable, so not that one so much, but a lot of those Rogan Hill or Rogan Franco, The Interview. They were all sort of good, like in the B minus C plus kind of range, but largely forgettable. Here, and I love Charlize Theron, of course, but here, we have the two of them with great chemistry, a great story, with some originality to it, and I think they play off each other very well. You really do get the sense that these guys were childhood friends, and the politicking doesn't go
Super inside.
it's not, and it's not necessarily right-leaning or left-leaning. There was no political message really to this movie.
No.
It was more about the two of them, and I thought it was great. I gave it an A-.
Yeah, no, this was one of those. It's simple, but it works. I think it largely benefits from these two very, very unlikely actors have great chemistry, and the writing is really good. I know.
Yeah, it's sharp.
Yeah, I think in the wrong hands, this premise could have come across kind of creepy. But I think because it's handled with such attention to detail that it works, and I think it says a lot about Seth Rogen as an actor. Like, he can be more than just a pothead.
Well, and I think, we've seen a couple of, he was in the Steve Jobs movie and whatever, but I think, aside from that, I think, he at this point has matured, not only as a person, because he's got to be 45 or something now, but
probably.
I think he's matured as an actor as a result of sort of scaling back and not, putting out 3 dumb comedies a year and sort of being more selective about his projects.
Yes.
So I think that helps too.
Yeah, not racing off to do Pineapple Express 3, but
no,
or 2.
I was going to say 2 never happened. What's your grade for that one?
But no, it's a respectable B for me.
Good. Up next is Dragon Ball Super Broly. I mean, I don't watch Dragon Ball. This is like nothing to me. I enjoyed the one we saw, Frieza. I liked that one a lot. Most of what I liked about that isn't here. It's way too inside. And from the people I know that enjoy Dragon Ball Z, they also mostly didn't like it. I've heard some that do, but a few that I know personally really did not care for it. So I don't have much to say about this. It was a C.
You're a kinder man than I. Start there.
Well, because I wanted to give it the benefit of the doubt. Like, as not a fan, I wanted to kind of at least say, like, okay, could I enjoy this if I was a fan? Maybe, I wasn't bored with it, but it just wasn't good.
Yeah, no.
One of the worst for you.
I wouldn't say one of the worst, but it's not a good movie. Like, the first 30 minutes, very inside, but I was curious to see where it was going, and then you find out that the first 30 minutes are the most interesting part, because after that there's like 15 minutes of setup, and then the rest of the movie is one gigantic action sequence.
Yes.
I
thought the action sequences were shot well, at least.
Yeah, it's pretty. It's just not fun and enjoyable and engaging.
Yeah.
It just feels kind of, let's be violent for reasons. And leading to an ending that honestly just made me angry.
Okay.
Made me really, really angry. To the point that I even ranted to our mutual friend and Dragon Ball nerd, Joe, saying the main character basically becomes a horrible person in the last two minutes of this movie. For me, I'm sure there's Dragon Ball fans out there who will defend this. To them, I say, peace be with you. But for me, it's just not good. It's a D+.
All right. Let's see. Up next, oh boy, Jojo Rabbit. I I guess I'll let you take the wheel on this. We kind of talked about it in the Oscar thing, but you famously thought this was way out of place at the Oscars. I think it's a good movie. I think it tries too hard. I think it is very good in parts. I think the acting is great. The little kid is great. I give it a B+, but not you.
All right. If there is one lesson I truly, truly, truly hope Taika Waititi gets from this movie, it is this. Less is more. What do I mean by this?
Don't write me a dissertation. Just like
when your
Come on now.
your whole selling pitch of this is, oh look, imaginary Hitler friend, and you are the least funny thing about this movie, you have problems. What is the best thing about this movie? The interplay between our leading man talking to the little girl that is being hidden, coming up with the most exaggerated, over the top thing about
he was
Jew
great,
anatomy.
little kid.
Some of the best improvisational comedy ever. Like, amazing. The fact that Waititi is completely schooled by her speaks volumes. But what really bothers me about this movie is the first half is really, really satirical to the point that it like feels increasingly less and less realistic, and then tries to go super, super dark in the second half. And a lot of it gets the emotional impact that it wants, but it feels strange. Like, we're supposed to feel bad, but we've made most of the cast kind of horrible individuals. So you're kind of left with this bad taste in your mouth both ways. It's a sweet movie. I laughed a lot.
It's funny.
It's definitely got some good feel-good vibes, but it's nowhere near as funny or as impactful as it thinks it is.
I agree. I think it tries too hard and is a little bit off the mark sometimes.
Yeah.
For sure.
And honestly, I feel like getting away from the gimmicks is the best thing that this movie could have had going for it. For me, it's a B+ because I like.
So we have the same grade for this movie?
Because I like the originality
Always.
and intense, but I think the execution where it wants to be an A+ doesn't get even remotely close to that.
All right. Well, I think most movies want to be an A+. Number 78, Bombshell. This was about the Fox News stuff. I thought Charlize Theron was great. I thought if anybody possibly could have deserved it over Renee Zellweger, it would be her. I really enjoyed this movie. This is one where I had no idea what it was about going into it. I thought it was kind of like Charlie's Angels. I thought it was just from the name, Bombshell, and then the poster with 3 babes on it. I just thought, okay. But sometimes you discover, or at least I do, really great gems that way.
Yeah.
So as soon as the curtain came up, Megyn Kelly, Roger Ailes, I'm like, okay, now I know what this movie is.
Yep.
I was along for it. I thought it was really good, well done. Does it maybe go a little too soft in some places, and a little bit caricaturish in others, possibly? But I really enjoyed it. I gave it an A-.
Yeah, this was one of those movies that I didn't. It kind of made me uncomfortable to watch just because this is such a prominent and heavy issue.
Yeah, Lithgow is such a good, prick.
Good
in this
bad
movie.
guy.
Yeah, he really is.
But he sells it, and honestly, everyone in this movie pretty much delivers. Margot Robbie's probably the least good of the bunch.
I was shocked she got nominated for this, to be honest.
But I mean, honestly, it's like A+, A, B.
Yeah, Kidman was great.
Yeah,
for sure.
it's by no means that she does a bad job. It's just going up against the other two storylines.
Right.
Hers is the weakest. I thought the setup was. I thought the general storyline was very good. I think it was handled very well. I think I do agree. Sometimes it does border on caricaturish, but I think to tell this kind of story, sometimes you have to embrace.
I just mean just kind of like with the one scene where it's like the Fox News personalities are like, just sort of going through the hallways or whatever. Like, oh, there's Jeannie Pirro. There's this person. There's Greta Van Susteren. It was almost like, oh, Fox News roll
Look
call.
At the revolving door.
Right.
Yeah.
So that part could have been handled better, but other than that.
But overall, I thought this was really, really well done. I was expecting it to be good. I was not expecting it to be as good, and it is a very, very respectable A- for me.
Nice. Dr. Sleep is next. This is number 77. I thought this was overly long for sure. But I will say, of all the horror movies this year, at least it was trying to do something a little different than just jump scare after jump scare. They obviously were taking a lot of the stuff from the King book. And I never saw The Shining. I've seen portions of it, but it always seemed a little too creepy for me when I was a kid, and then as an adult, I just never came around on it. I thought the fake Jack Nicholson was horrible at the bar. That was by far the worst part of the movie.
It's bad, and that could have been the best scene ever.
It takes you right out of the movie.
Yeah.
I mean, they may as well have gotten Christian Slater or something to do his Jack impression. Like, it was just, it was so out of place. Hated that part. But I thought, character-wise, it had some things going for it.
Mm-hmm.
I do think it's a little long. I don't think horror movies need to be over 2:20 maybe at most. This was like 2 hours and 40 minutes or something.
Yeah.
But for all the horror movies this year, it was certainly on the more enjoyable side, so I gave it a B-.
Okay. Yeah, this was one of those that I really wasn't sure how to feel about going in, because The Shining is one of my favorite horror books, and definitely one of my favorite horror movies.
Yeah, you love it. Right.
Dr. Sleep I have not read in full, but I figured it's the Shining sequel, so hey, let's see where it goes. What I liked about this is, for the most part, it distances itself from The Shining enough to sort of stand on its own. Mm-hmm. Doesn't mean it always works, because it doesn't. But I think it does enough to try and establish its own identity, and weirdly enough, I feel like where it has the most problems is when it tries to lean too much into, hey, look, The Shining happened.
Yes, I agree, because not knowing about not having seen The Shining, I know all the main bits.
Yes.
And like, I always knew in this movie, oh yeah, that's directly from The Shining. Yeah. Oh yeah, that's a callback.
Yeah.
It was a little distracting.
Yeah, like, I respect Flanagan's attention to detail, but I like this movie so much more as a dark fantasy than a follow-up supernatural horror story. Which is weird to say, knowing The Shining, but I think Ewan McGregor does a good job. I think the little girl does a great job.
Yeah, she's really good.
And I think the cerebral action sequences are really, really interesting. Definitely long. I haven't seen the director's cut yet, but
long, yeah.
I think it's if nothing else, it's an interesting sequel, and I give it a B.
Okay. So number 76, we wrap up the first 25 with the Liam Neeson classic, Cold Pursuit. You thought I enjoyed this one.
Oh boy,
you
here
were
we
wrong.
go.
No, there's not much to say about it. It's taken on a snowplow. It's the same thing. The one on a train was terrible. He needs to just do something that's a little bit different.
Go back to being a character actor.
Or just not go back necessarily, but just do multiple things.
Yeah, that's true.
Bruce Willis can do his action movies, but then sometimes he does other things too.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll get to Glass later, which maybe he shouldn't have done. But the point is, Liam Neeson, his last 10 movies are all this same thing. So no, this was not good. D+. Not much more to say.
Yeah. All right. So as far as this one goes, this was a remake of a movie that came out while we were watching Film Fanatics, and I remember looking at the poster and everything, thinking, "Ooh, this is going to be a great movie. I'm super excited." And I won't say it was bad. It was okay. I wasn't upset. It was more underwhelmed.
Okay.
And I was thinking, okay, was the cultural thing? Is the U.S. going to sort of find a way to split the difference? No, it's very much of the same vibe, just less so. Mm-hmm. It wants to be a dark comedy, but I don't think it understands what a punchline is.
Right.
Liam Neeson is very much in Taken mode.
Yeah.
If you've never seen Taken, you'll probably leave satisfied, but if you have, and every other Taken ripoff that followed it, it's only going to get more obnoxious as it goes along. I think the storyline is interesting. I feel like it would have worked far better as an action movie, just cut out the dark humor elements altogether, because they don't work. But
yeah.
I think it's at least competent to varying degrees. I left it with a slightly higher grade of C-.
That is only slightly higher, yes. Okay, so let's pause there.